Every Sunday morning I get a report from my iOS device, which now is incredibly old. I probably need to get a new iOS device. In any case, it tells me quite splendidly how little time I have been putting into social media. And this week I found a photograph which is of a t-shirt that I received maybe 2 years ago, about this time, maybe 3 years ago, I'm not sure. Anyway, it was a photo of a donkey, an elephant, and a cat, with the cat in between the donkey and the elephant, and a tick placed under the cat. And it was just such a wonderful thing at the time. I posted it to Facebook, so I thought, I'll just repost it to Facebook, because it really represents something which, for me, is very visceral about this country, which I'll talk a little bit about in a minute or two. Anyway, I posted it to Facebook and got a wide variety of likes and what have you, but I got some commentary from people that were offended and thought that I was supporting Vladimir Putin and all this other really curious narrative. And I sat there and thought to myself, do I respond to this? Do I say to them, your political parties have nothing to do with me? And then I started to reflect that these people are angstful that I'm not a Democrat. And it's strange to me that every experience I've had with regards to the DNC, because their media says they're the party of immigrants. Every experience I've had with the DNC has made me really question very heavily why people are part of the DNC. So I've pretty heavily avoided politics relatively successfully until I got to my area and went to the local community meeting. And I thought that was like a neutral, independent space. Actually, it's run by the local DNC, but you'd never find that out. They don't say it explicitly. There's nothing on anything, any of the materials there. So when I volunteered and was elected to a position, still no one said to me, by the way, this is the local DNC you're joining here. And the great thing is, I think it's intentionally designed not to be in any way branded until you try to point out that the institutional corruption in our area, because there are no other political parties in our area, that we need to be fighting what's going on with the local political system, and the local candidates are just criminals. And then mysteriously, this community organisation does absolutely nothing. And in fact, belittles you and attacks you for donating to, the local community centre, and all this kind of really very strange behaviour that I got. And then when you start inquiring why, when we take email addresses at the start of the meetings, they just forward it on to the local, DNC councillor. Why are we doing that? We're an independent group. So the whole thing is based on lies. But the thing that also strikes me as really curious is if I was looking to recruit anyone, if I was looking for someone to join a political party or any kind of organisation, I would look to someone like myself I work indefinitely for no money. I do a bunch of things which are really community-spirited and are, selfless beyond any rationality. And I earn a reasonable income. I donate to charity. I donate a lot of money to charity. It's all very curious, actually, how these people wouldn't try and recruit me. Instead, the experience I had was just watching local politicians and institutional corruption, getting a sense very keenly that if there was any organisation that was actively looking for my demise, it was the DNC. Seriously, when you realise that they're supporting the police and the local district attorneys, and these people are supported by the local drug gangs, and the money flows and everything's incredibly expensive, and no one's actually interested in tackling any of the institutional corruption. It's not even about unions anymore. It's all really very curious. It's just institutional corruption and putting a smiling, happy face on it and all this kind of branding. The lack of action, the direct lack of productive action in this thing just seems to make me feel that the whole thing is just a con. And it's interesting when, people come to me with kind of smiling neoliberal philosophies. I said, well, that's great, but what are you going to do, It's a bit like the folks that come to the door on a Sunday morning and want to tell you about their Lord and Saviour, and you're like, well, but what are you actually doing aside from, pestering me on a Sunday morning? What good work are you putting into the community here? And in the case of the DNC, it's all just about doing nothing and portraying a narrative. Doing nothing and portraying a narrative. The actions and the words do not in any way commensurate. And the levels that they put into alienating me in the local community makes me really feel very strange about anyone that belongs to this political party. So, when I post my cat tick photo to Facebook, I get some very curious narrative about Vladimir Putin, which, ironically, will just lose them the next election. We'll have 8 years of Trump. Thank you very much, the way these people want to run a political party. All very curious. All very, very curious. So, I don't know. I don't know if you even entertain the paradoxes, if you even say to people, your party just can't even run itself. Geez, let's actually work. Are you for abortion or are you against abortion? Are you for, the environment or are you against the environment? Are you for any of these basic issues? Or really you're just basically the same as the other party? You like taking a bunch of money from all your backers, including, mysteriously, the Russians. No one even reads about the Podesta group, but let's move on from that. Anyway. So the whole narrative is just so totally about mythology and not about action. So I don't know, do you treat it like some quaint religion? I mean, do you just look at the DNC like the Buddhists? I don't think so. The DNC kills people, demonstrably, in my neighborhood. Not people over in a foreign country, literally in front of me. So, yeah, the whole thing is very strange. Very, very strange. But I don't really have a political avenue anymore. This comes next, not so much anymore. So I just wanted to put it out in a long funk. And maybe it takes out the tonal sobriety. Sobriety. I like the idea of sobriety. It's like sombrero. Anyway, maybe it takes that out. But I'm also currently working on a podcast of Stone Ape snippets. And that is relatively hard, particularly associated with political context and these kind of things. So if you'll humour me this one long funk, just this once.